Before this presentation formally begins, I would like to introduce some definitions so that we could understand what these definitions means in the context of school funding and performance outcomes from students. So the first definition is equity, and we define equity as the distribution of resources in the achievement of established goals, as defined by Alexander. The second is efficiency, which entails the attainment of those goals using fewer resources, as defined by Roll. The third is adequacy. Due to the difficulty of measuring equity and efficiency in education because students do not get a wage, nor do they usually work full time, the court system has defined adequacy as the state's ability to provide each student an equal opportunity to achieve the state's education performance standards. When we refer to equity from now on forward, we're referring specifically to vertical equity, which is the distribution of revenue in pursuit of equality while considering difference amongst types of districts and equal. Economists have traditionally focused on equity and efficiency because in order to reduce inequity, you have to reduce the efficiency of those with the most amount of capital or the highest earners. Adequacy was supposed to be an efficient way to ensure vertical equity. So why are we unable to ensure that our emergent bilingual students can have an equitable and adequate education?
American education spending fell by about $600 per student between 2009 and 2014. Meanwhile, public schools are enrolling a growing segment of students who cost states more to teach, English language learners. By 2025, almost 30% of all children in U.S. public schools will be Hispanic. Many of them will be taking classes in English even if they're still trying to learn the language, meaning they need extra help and extra resources. Roberto Ferdman.
The Seal of Biliteracy emerged from districts in California that wanted to recognize the value of bilingual education over the current sheltered immersion and the negative externalities of long-term English learners or English learners that were not progressing enough to exit English language services, even though, as Imazaki believed, they were not exiting because the current language service and the alternatives were viewed as inadequate. In return, students who were English learners who want to be emergent bilinguals had to pass their English proficiency exam before they could start pursuing the Seal of Biliteracy. So what is the Seal of Biliteracy?
Is a recognition and celebration of students who have studied and attained proficiency in 2 or more languages by high school graduation. Interested students must demonstrate proficiency in English and another language through performance and proficiency assessments. These students prove they have 21st century skills that will benefit them in post-secondary learning opportunities, careers, and life. The seal honors the skills students attain and is evidence to future employers and college admissions offices that a student is able to listen, speak, read, and write in and across 2 languages. Bilingualism and biliteracy make individual students more competitive in the college application process and job market.
The Seal of Biliteracy shows a student has mastered English and another language. If you're a parent...
The fundamental problem we were addressing in this project is understanding why California's vertical equity aid system did not decrease inequity, but actually increased inequity by reducing the adequacy of funds for English learners. The findings show that the Seal of Biliteracy both increases districts' investment in bilingual education by 2.5%, but that 2.5% also is the percentage of students who are EL that actually go into world language classes who are incentivized by the Seal of Biliteracy. It also shows that the Seal of Biliteracy increases the percentage of EL students that exit EL programming by 4%, and that the total savings from district expenditure in EL programming is 4%, 2.5% by reducing costs from having less long-term EL students in the population, and 1.5% by shifting funds from other different departments or areas or other avenues of funding from the ability to use discrete funding rather than categorized aid that has limitations, as well as increasing the college-ready EL population by 3.7% upon graduation, with a 50-50% mediation analysis split in treatment effects. Imazaki, an economist who studied English learners in California and how they're funded, realized that the problem had to be that student test scores, like English proficiency scores, were not accurately measuring students' actual English proficiency. And so when they decided funding and allotment of services, that funding and services were being wasted. Therefore, districts that were actually spending more money were also getting lower test scores because those students were not actually benefiting from those services. The other issue Imazaki noted was that California relied on categorical aid. So if a district needed external funds to support their English learner or emergent bilingual population, once they ran out of categorical aid, they had no other means to help these students. So California switched to a local control funding formula. This allowed districts to have the opportunity to signal that they want to invest in the Seal of Biliteracy because they can shift funds from one aspect of that they're spending to specifically promote and support English learners and emergent bilinguals. She therefore concluded there had to be some information friction that was occurring that created a market externality, which meant that the students were not on the same page with the district, or the students and the parents were not on the same page with the district about how their child should be educated. That the district was not offering them an adequate education, and therefore they were not providing an adequate performance for the district's measurement for school funding. I believe that this information friction is a result of Proposition 227 in California, which essentially banned bilingual education and native language instruction for practically 90%, if not more, of California's EL population. Only a select few students were able to receive access to bilingual education in California, but many other states thrived with the sharing of the state responsibility with the local discretion of funds, which allows districts to signal to students that they support biliteracy pathways to college and students to support those pathways as well. Thus, the SEAL offered emergent bilinguals an alternative pathway than what the traditional pathway to post-secondary education that California was offering at the time.
One of the things that our biliteracy seal ensures is that the students at the elementary level and the middle level have something to look forward to and to work towards. And so they're able to know that once they get to high school, the importance of the seal on their diploma, they realize that being bilingual, biliterate is connected to going to college.
Through educational programs, but this Seal of Biliteracy really just involves information that they already know.
By increasing information about and access to not only the Seal of Biliteracy, but supporting programs like all forms of bilingual and dual language programs, we can reduce costs for school finances and actually help students improve their educational outcomes.
Because I want my family to see that I'm smart enough so they can think I'm really good and I'm going to keep on going ahead.
Nutrias came from South America.
Okay, that is a fact.
The Seal of Biliteracy, in a way, it's a very simple thing. It's a recognition. It's a celebration.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Very good.
The Seal of Biliteracy at the end of high school is what we're reaching towards. But we also created a set of pathway awards, too.
Giselle Campos Contreras.
Pathway awards take place all along the educational journey, recognizing at an age-appropriate and grade-appropriate level whether or not you're actually on the path towards this kind of powerful multiple literacies.
Jesus Cordova Palestino. Congratulations.
I feel proud of myself because I never won a trophy in my life. And when I hold it, I really felt nice. My mom took pictures of me. You tell me that I did great.
It's
very important to have a celebration of biliteracy so that the students can feel proud of their incredible achievement, feel motivated to continue in their studies, so that the parents can see that this is important.